Hi, welcome to the Mintrain Knits podcast. My name is Caitlin. I'm the host. You can find me on Instagram as mintrain yarns, on Ravelry as mintrain, and I will leave links to everywhere that you can contact me in the description box below, as well as all the show notes. Well, it has been a couple months since the last podcast. Things have been pretty crazy. I have been very busy with orders, which I just want to thank everybody for supporting my business, because I know that a lot of people are working from home or out of work currently, but I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting my business, because it is my only source of income, and just thank you for letting me do what I love. Okay, well, first things first, what I am wearing, this is the flax pullover by Tin Can Knits. I did a faded version. I will leave a link to the project page in the description box below with all the, which will say all the yarns that I use, because I can't remember all of them. It has been 3 or 4 years since I knit this, so I can remember a few, but not all of them, so I'm not going to name them currently, but I will link it in the description below. I have a lot of socks that I cranked on my sock machine, a couple other projects that I finished, and lots of things that I have worked on. I know that I am going to forget probably some of the projects that I worked on since last time we talked, but I just cannot remember what I have worked on entirely in the last 2 months. So what I have finished, so the first thing that I finished was from Jessie Made Designs, her mystery knit along she did, the My Secret Crop. So this is the first one I did. I did do 2 of them. I used 2 strands of fingering weight. One is from V Yarns in the Pumpkin King colorway, and the other one is, I cannot remember who dyed it. All I have is the sock club tag, which is an Agatha Christie Halloween Party colorway. So if you happen to know who dyed this, please let me know, because I cannot for the life of me remember, and I don't believe I bought it through Etsy, so I can't look back on my purchases that way to find it. It's driving me nuts that I can't remember. And the second one that I did, I actually finished this one on May 3rd, just in time for May the 4th, because I did this one out of Star Wars inspired mini skeins from Candy Skein yarns, and I love it. I have done lots of faded sweaters, and this is a great way to use up that mini skein set that I got from her. And I can remember a couple of the names because they weren't individually labeled, they just came with all the names on the tag. But the straps, I believe, are done in the R2D2 colorway. I don't remember what this one is. This one, I believe, is the Boba Fett colorway. Then C3PO, BB-8. Oh, this one I think might be the Rey colorway. And then this one, I have absolutely no idea. But I love them all. Then to get into the socks that I have done, which is considerable. I did all of these socks on my Laguerre 400 sock knitting machine. I will link all the yarns that I used in the description box because some of them I cannot remember the names. I do know the dyers, but I don't necessarily remember the names of the yarns. The first one is, and I do have both of them here finished. It's from Bad Wolf Girl Yarns. This is, I think, one of the first colorways that she dyed up. This was her Doctor Who one. I mean, it's such a vintage skein of hers that the label didn't even have the yarn information on it yet, just her logo. But it is so super sparkly. And none of these have been washed or blocked yet, so they're still kind of stretched out from being on the machine. Then the next one is from Neely's Knits, and she's no longer dyeing yarn anymore, but this one is her Some Like It Scott colorway, so one of her Outlander yarns, and this one is her yarn for Jamie. Here's the second one. But I just love how this stripe is more variegated than the rest, but all of them are very tonal. Then the next one is from Query Fibers in the October 2016. And I had actually started knitting a pair of socks out of this by hand, but I just never got very far because I wasn't happy with the needles I was using. They were the Clover Bamboo, and they just stuck too much to the yarn. And this pair is from Madeline Tosh in the Twist Sock in Begonia Leaf, and I believe this colorway is discontinued. Then the next one is from Fiber Addiction, and I cannot remember the name of this one. I'll have to link it down below, but it is perfectly Halloween-y, and Halloween is my absolute favorite holiday, mainly because there's no expectations of what you're supposed to do for it, and you can just have fun. The next one is also from Fiber Addiction, and this is one of her Doctor Who colorways called The Man, the Myth, and the Eyebrows. So this is a Peter Capaldi inspired Doctor Who yarn. I have lots more that I did. And I actually have more that I did not, that I've given away already, so I don't even have them to show. So this one is from Neely's Knits as well. It was one from her one of a kind sock blanks that she did, inspired by Galaxy Pictures. So the second one, even though from the sock blank, they are very similar. Then this next one is from V Yarns. I believe it is called Into the Night. So it has these splashes of green and orange on a gray background. And I just love the way it pooled. And the next one is from Hey Lady Yarn. Or Hey Lady Hey. I'll link it down below. In the Use the Force colorway. I love how like zebra-esque this pair came out. Then this pair is from Chasing Acorns in the Beach House colorway. And it is just so subtle in the colors, and it's just very different than my normal but I absolutely love them. The next one is from Leading Men Fiber Arts in the 911 Butterfly colorway. If you ever have a chance to ask them the story behind this name, do it, because it is a good laugh. The next pair is from Ice Melon Stash. She's actually rebranding her company to Supernova Dye Works. And this is one of her supernatural colorways. I believe it's called Oh Crap, I'm a Painted Whore. And if you watch the show, you probably know exactly what episode that is. And the next pair is from Bitter Buffalo Dye Works. She actually also rebranded to Mini Moon, I believe. And she's doing more pottery now, less yarn. But I just love how this has every color. Then the last pair that I have done, well, that I am showing. I have 7 pairs that I've already gifted to people. So then this pair is from the Lemonade Shop in the Hawking colorway. And I just love it. Well, clearly I love all these socks because I made a big pile of yarn that I wanted to crank, and I just worked my way through it. So that is all the socks. Oh, the sock blockers I have 3 different pairs from 3 different companies, and all actually supposedly the same size, but they are not quite. This pair is from Crazy Monkey Creations. It's a women's size 9 blocker, and it has a little bit of a wider shaft. But since they do these to specific shoe sizes, they cover less size ranges. It only fits basically the size 9 socks well, so it will be looser on the larger end of the range that a lot of sock blockers have. And this pair are the Bry Spun sock blockers that I got these from Webs, and I haven't had them very long, but I do really like them. They are actually very easy to store when you're not using them. And this is a pair of Knit Picks sock blockers. This was the first pair I got. These actually seem to run small, so especially in the ankle. But they're actually very good for doing ankle socks, for blocking ankle socks. But for crew socks, I find right here, it seems to be too narrow. So I would actually suggest going up a size from what you think you actually need of these, because they run a little off. And I have actually done a lot of sewing lately. I have been sewing face masks and listing them in my shop. So I've been alternating most weeks as to if I'm doing yarn or face masks. But right now I have to put the face mask on hold since I am waiting on more elastic. But this is the elastic version I've been doing. And I do have a tie version I've been doing that is actually a different tie version than I've seen anyone else doing. It has a single tie, so 1 tie on each side, but it has the straps come right here and then go around your ear like they would with 2 straps on each side. but then they are tacked down behind your ear to create the triangle shape to hold it above and below your ear, and then you just tie it behind your head. And a lot of people who like the tie version, I've gotten wonderful reviews from that. But this is one that I kept for myself because it was a prototype. I was testing out stitches, so each side has a different stitch to see which one I liked better. Okay, so what I have been working on, which is still considerable, I have been picking away at different projects because I can't seem to focus long term on one thing at a time. So I think the oldest thing I have that I worked on the longest ago is a pair of socks. Oh, I actually have the first one done. Looks like I have not even cast on the second one. So this is the Chilling Adventures. So it's a Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Spellman, or Sabrina inspired yarn. So it's inspired by the Weird Sisters and Sabrina. And then I used ink as my contrast. So this one was all hand knit. So I guess I need to get on the second sock. I haven't even cast it on yet. Then the next thing, and that was just a vanilla sock with a Fish Lips Kiss heel. And the next thing that I was working on, and I actually haven't touched it in a while, is the Just Feel Festive shawl by Kalisha of the Quirky Monday Craft Cast. And this is, it's already massive and I still have quite a bit of yarn to go before I'm done. I am doing this out of some Supernatural inspired mini skeins from a club that I participated in with V Yarns and Ice Melon Stash. So I am about 3/4 of the way done with this, but I am just going, so for each season there were 4 mini skeins, and I missed out on the first 3 seasons of it. So I've just been going in season order. So it's very scrappy and no I'm not trying to do a fade or anything. I'm just going in the order ish that they came in. And I am using a H hook, 5mm. And this is an ergonomic shaped hook. I really enjoy using this one, especially with the heavier yarn. This is fingering weight held double, so it gives you a DK weight. But this is, I got this pack on Amazon. It has like 8 different sizes, and I really like it because there's a lot of flexibility right here. So when I'm working, it doesn't feel nearly as rigid. It's the same shape as the Addy ergonomic hooks, but those I find to be too rigid in my hand. They don't have any flexibility. But this one, these will give a little bit, so I don't hurt the pad of my thumb, which I have a tendency to do with crochet if I'm holding the hook too tight. And I've always done that ever since I learned to crochet, which is another reason why I really do like the tulip hooks or the clover hooks that have the rubberized handle. Then the next thing I picked back up. This is the Magical Thinking cowl shawl thing that Casapinka did last year for the local yarn shop day. And these are all out of my colorways. The purple is Sugar Plum Fairy. This cream with gold and purple speckles is actually a custom one I had done for Addicted to Sock Knitting, the Addicted to Sock Knitting Facebook group called Pansy. And then this one is Zombie Romance. And I just love the way these three look together. I really want to get this finished, but I think I messed up on it, so I need to figure out if I can just kind of fudge the numbers or if I have to actually rip back. I hope I don't have to rip back. Then the next thing I worked on, which is actually a new cast on, is working on a summery tee. I'm loosely basing this on the Temperature Tee by UU Yarns. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. But I was not able to get gauge with this yarn on the needles they suggested, and I didn't want to go up any higher with any larger needles because I didn't want the fabric to be too see-through. It's already pretty loose. It's sport weight on size 10s. But so what I did was I just did the math to see what I needed to cast on to get the amount of ease that I wanted. So I used her ease measurements and size, the yarn weight and yarn and needles. Then I just did the basic math to see how many stitches I needed to cast on for the gauge I was getting, and then I did that because I also wanted to do it in the round rather than knit it flat. So I doubled the cast on stitches, and then I also did a folded brim instead of the just the rolled hem that was from just knitting straight stockinette. And the yarn is some of my hand-dyed yarn, Sport Sock in the colorway Coral. Then I have been picking away at my Granny Stripes blanket. Oh, tangled up here. That's what happens when I don't fold it when I put it away. But I was working on it last night. Okay. So, let's see if I can. Okay, so here's the marker where I was last time. So I have gotten about 6 inches done. And I am still working through my 2018 Advent yarns, and I have 2 left. Can't wait to be done with those, just because I want to be working on something besides Christmas yarn. But it is, I'd say I'm probably, so here's the length of it. I probably 3/4 of the way done. And then I know that when I finish this, I will have to start a third. So this one is my second. And I can't seem to not have one on the hook. And the last thing that I've been working on is another Casa Pinka project, the Blanket of Calm. So I have done a ton of squares. I am close to 100. And what I've been doing actually is all the fingering weight scraps that I have had from doing the socks that I've cranked, the crop tops that I've knit. I am using all the fingering weight yarn from all the scraps from the fingering weight projects that I've done during this whole quarantine time will go into this blanket project. So it will be a true quarantine project because I am just using scraps from quarantine projects. And I am just loving it. So I have just this box of the scraps that I'm working with, and then all the finished squares. And then I also keep a pair of scissors and a crochet hook in here. I'm using a 3mm crochet hook. And I have not woven in any of the ends. That will be another time, just because I haven't wanted to do it. But that has basically been all the crafting I've done. I mean, it looks like a ton. It kind of is a ton, but it is also 2 months worth of work. And I actually have finally gotten back into buying up some new colorways for the shop. It's been a few months since I've done anything new, mainly because when you're stuck inside, you aren't inspired by a lot of things because you're seeing the same things every day. But we've been trying to take the dog for a walk every day, or almost every day. We're getting about 5 days a week in for that. And so with things finally starting to bloom here, it is giving me inspiration finally. But today it's really cold, and yesterday it snowed, and so it's also the day before, even though it is Mother's Day and it is cold. But some of the new things that I dyed up. So I did 4 new variegateds and a new self-striping, which still has to be reskeined. But one of the new variegateds is Magnolia, because we pass a magnolia tree when we go on our walks, and it is in full bloom right now. Then this one is Violets, which I absolutely love, and I actually caked up a skein to knit with. I just haven't cast anything on it. I'm going to do some Rose City rollers, but I love how it looks caked up. So I can't wait to knit some socks with that. Then we've had lots of cardinals in the yard, so I had to do a male and a female cardinal colorway. And they're actually the inverse of each other. So this is the same red on this one as this, on the gray tan background, and then this one, it has the gray and tan speckled on it to create the dark spots. But I think I will be doing a 2-color DK weight shawl, I think, with these. Then I did a new self-striping called Spring Cheer, which is coral, chartreuse, turquoise, and hot purple. And it is very bright. And I can't wait to knit something with that as well. And those I will have listed in the shop next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, when I can get pictures taken and that self-striping reskeined. Then I actually have a couple other colorways that have been waiting to go into the shop, so those will also appear there. And then I've also been reading a lot. I'm not going to go through the whole list of everything I've read in the last couple months because it has been a lot. But what I am currently reading, since I'm reading an ebook, I can never remember the title because I don't look at it all the time. Proof of Murder by Lauren Elliott. It's the 4th in her in the series I'm reading. I cannot remember what the series is called, but it I'm really enjoying it. It's a cozy mystery series, but it doesn't follow a lot of the same. Well, I mean, all the cozy mysteries follow the same kind of template, but it's not as predictable as some are. Some can be very, very predictable. But this one, not so much. So I think that is everything. I will try to not have this be 2 months before the next episode, but we've been trying to get into a new routine because during all of this, my fiance actually moved in here temporarily until we figure out where we will be moving to for the fall. And so he's been teaching from here. So it has been very busy, and we are finally getting into a new routine, a good routine, even though it's about to change again in 2 weeks when the semester ends, and then things should be hopefully